So what would you recommend for an athlete who wants to be vegan and perform at a high level?
I would bring up all those points and those topics
Hmm.
that I kind of just went over. So I would have them consider a lot of those things. I would say that being vegetarian or vegan a few times a week or once a week is okay. When you're not training or under high stress, um, could be a better time that you experiment. Maybe you can go longer periods without it,
Yeah.
but um, recognizing and being super thankful that you have the resources that you need to be well. I would say the other thing that, when we're building our own internal compass, building our discretion to try and do things that you don't normally do. So if vegan is one of them, jump into that.
Hmm.
Dive into that hard enough to figure out, well, what's my upper limit of veganism? How long can I go without animal foods? When do I start noticing a difference in the quality of my life? And then you could start to, you know what, it's good for me to be a vegan one time a week. That's it. Or maybe I pick 2 weeks out of the year where I'm straight vegan only, and then I go back to my normal diet. The other thing you do is, I think a good way to express navigating diet is to break it down with more of like an Eastern mentality, in the sense of you're looking at flavors and tastes. So there's five main flavors. You have sweet, you have salty, and savory, which pretty much dominate our palate. And
What's
then we have
savory?
savory is the taste of meat.
Okay, okay, okay.
So yeah, salty, sweet, savory, they're meat flavor, and then you have sour and bitter.
Mm.
And sour and bitter, we tend to overlook a lot. And the few sour and bitter things that we consume also tend to have some side effects, like beer and alcohol and coffee. They can be good in a balanced diet, but they also have some downsides to them.
Yeah.
So other bitter and sour foods, like citrus, limes, lemons, vinegar, a lot of things that people don't eat a lot of, raw chunks of raw ginger, turmeric. A lot of people, like, this whole situation happened recently, and like the ginger got all bought out really fast. People are starting to catch on to these things. Raw fresh herbs are really bitter and cleansing, and they're very aromatic as well. If you break off a piece of basil, it smells refreshing.
Yeah.
Like a chunk of celery smells clean. Like fresh celery smells like, oh, like this is like, smells like a clean room. You know what I mean? Like, so if you think about when you consume those things, you're also going to smell better internally, because that's what you're consuming. And not to say that you don't need meat, but the breakdown of protein causes some reactions that don't smell so good. It's the same way with the breakdown of sugar as well. So lean in towards and build your discretion by doing things that you don't normally do. So when I usually suggest, like, hey, when you make your green drink, use chunks of raw ginger, use fresh basil, fresh mint, back off of the sweet a little bit. Don't put a ton of bananas and a ton of berries in there. Maybe put like one apple in there, so you get a little bit of a sweet flavor, but you're not inundated with the same taste that you're normally consuming. And I think there's something to say about strong flavors in general are indicative of a nutritional imbalance. Because if we think about the most balanced food for a human being, is breast milk. Obviously, you only get access to that when you're a child, hopefully, but it's very neutral tasting,
Right.
Because it's so well balanced. It's got all the glyconutrients that you need. It has the perfect protein amount. It's got the right fat. It's super hydrating. It's very, very neutral flavored. And so if you want to heal, or if you want to perform better, I would start to lean towards creating more of a bland or neutral diet. But who wants to do that? Everybody, it's all about how much flavor can I pack into this small amount of food. And it's tasty, it's gourmet, it's pleasurable.
Yeah.
But how healthy is it for us? And that's what I'm trying to consider, or just seeing in general. Like that's what we're doing. We're eating really, really rich gourmet style food on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
and we really need to spend most of our time in a very neutral environment. Even more so sour and bitter, because nobody wants to deal with the sour and bitter.
Of course.
Sour and bitter is what exercise is to the body, is what sour and bitter is to the digestive system. So if you consume none of those things that are sour and bitter that I mentioned, your digestive system is going to suffer,
Hmm.
and you're not going to really absorb the nutrients that you're consuming.
Wow.
So that's kind of the overall health perspective for an athlete, as far as what to consume.